Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Today we are doing a 2022 NFL mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings. As a Dalvin Cook fantasy holder, as an Adam Thielen fantasy holder, I've watched a lot of Vikings games. An honorary Minnesota Vikings fan, if some say. And this team is not far off. I'm personally in the camp that Kirk Cousins is a good enough quarterback to give you guys a shot at a Super Bowl. You just got to surround him with the talent that he needs. Yeah, he's no Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he's no Tom Brady or Pat Mahomes, but he's a darn good quarterback. And I think you rock with him for this last year on his contract. And then you see how things play out with whether you're going to sign him back. That being said, a team that really didn't lose too many games by over one score, besides the one game Kirk Cousins didn't play against the Packers. That was the only game they really got blown out. And they could have started the season 3-0. So we're going to start this mock draft up and just realize that this team and this roster is not that bad. A couple pending free agents: Anthony Barr, Patrick Peterson, Sheldon Richardson, Everson Griffin, Xavier Woods. And we're going to try to fill in some holes and just round out a really, really good roster. Right off the bat, that's not a horrible trade. We're going to reject that because I think a guy with tremendous value is still on the board. Derek Stingley is cornerback 1 in this draft. I don't think he should be falling outside the top 10. You get him at 12, and that's a steal for the Minnesota Vikings. A guy that, you can't forget what you saw on that true freshman film of his. The best cornerback we've seen in like the college football era as a prospect, maybe since Jalen Ramsey, and maybe better if he opted out and just didn't play the last 2 seasons of his college career. He's probably going 1 maybe. Really good football player who, you have some concerns. And if he doesn't work out at the combine, then you start maybe asking some questions about where you're going to go with him. But right now, I'm taking him early. Now, if Trent McDuffie falls, I want to check their cornerbacks real quick. I know Patrick Peterson, probably don't bring him back. Is it crazy to double up on cornerback right now? I like Christian Harris too. If Trent McDuffie, which Minnesota Vikings fans, I wouldn't get excited for this. Like, I don't think this guy will fall outside the top 15. I have a top 20 grade on him. A lot of people are very high on him. Yeah, you have a little bit of concerns with like the downfield long speed and the length that he has. But the film was just phenomenal. In the Pac-12, he was absolutely dominant. I think he was targeted on he was targeted on like 30 passes. He only gave up 16 or 11 catches for like something like under 50 yards. It was extremely impressive. You turn on the film and you see that. You can't pass him up. Trent McDuffie at 46 might be the best pick in the draft. You immediately have one of the best young secondary duos in the league. In a pass heavy NFL setting, it's important to have some lockdown cornerbacks, and Derek Stingley and Trent McDuffie will give that to you. My only worry is that they kind of specialize in, that's probably not a worry. Trent McDuffie is a little bit more comfortable in zone coverage. Didn't see too much man coverage. I'm not saying he can't do it, but we just didn't see it that much. Picking at 77 here. I don't mind Nick Manito. Like, I like him as a prospect. I just don't know if he really fits what they're trying to do. I like Logan Hall. We've talked Logan Hall. I think we're going to go Brian Asamoah. Anthony Barr is a pending free agent. Bring in Brian Asamoah. I like Wendell Robinson too. I think both these guys are good picks. Wendell Robinson is going to give you guys some absolute juice in the slot. This guy's electric with the ball in his hands, and he actually runs really good routes. I think he's an immediate upgrade from KJ Osborne. And it's really like, what do you think the biggest position of need is? I'm going to look at the contracts real quick and see how long we have Eric Kendricks for through 2024. Him and Eric Kendricks and Brian Asamoah are going to be phenomenal. Brian Asamoah is like the JOK of this draft. 33-inch arms, a little bit undersized and doesn't take on blocks that well. but is an absolute speedster. He flies all over the field, ton of tackles, gets in the backfield. I think Brian Asamoah is the pick here. Let me know. This one's a tough one. I'm going to go Brian Asamoah. But I'm a big fan of Wan'Dale Robinson as well from Kentucky. And we are heavily addressing the defensive side of the football. Now you got to start thinking about how you're going to round out that offensive crew. I think wide receivers in play. Jay Jett has obviously been phenomenal. But I think you got to start thinking about life after Adam Thielen, who turns 31. Still has good production. Is still going to be a very good wide receiver, but I think his best years are behind him, and you got to start thinking about who you're going to phase in that's going to help give you guys some production. I mean, I really like Calvin Austin. If he falls, he doesn't. I mean, looking at this team, it's a really solid team. I was a really big fan of the Christian Darrisaw pick. I'm optimistic about how he's going to progress. Garrett Bradbury, Ezra Cleveland, like that's a solid offensive line. As of right now, it's a decent skill. I mean, Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in the league. Jay Jett and Adam Thielen, one of the best wide receiving duos in the league. That being said, you really need to find out who that third is going to be. Such a big gap. Like you almost had to have gone Wan'Dale Robinson there. $156. I'm leaning Greg Dulcich here. Greg Dulcich is one of the best pure receiving tight ends. I know Irv Smith just hasn't worked out, and I was like, it's a darn shame because I was really excited for this dude. This is his last year on the contract. I don't really see signing him back after just can't really stay on the field, can't really figure out how he's going to make it in the NFL. Dontario Drummond's also an interesting prospect too. You can get the ball in very different ways. I'm going to go Greg Dulcich here, though. He's a guy with a walk-on wide receiver at UCLA to start his career, put on a lot of weight, has big hands, very good after the catch, and just kind of provides that matchup nightmare for linebackers and safeties because he's getting bigger, 245 frame. Safety's a little bit maybe small to cover him. And then linebackers, you're not going to find many linebackers in the league who are going to be able to keep up with this dude. So I think Greg Dulcich the pick here. I'm going to make sure I'm not missing out on any wide receivers that I really like. Sky Moore I do really like as well. Make sure I'm not missing anyone else. Yeah, I think we're going to go Greg Dulcich from UCLA. I think a guy that we've been high on ever since I watched that LSU game early in the year for UCLA. I mean, very, very impressive. He caught like a crossing route in man coverage and just outran everybody. And dude absolutely flies in open field. And that's kind of what you want. I think that's what we're seeing like most tight ends in the league now win with is having that speed that's just really, really uncomfortable for defenses to deal with. 183 early round 6. And now you get Dontario Drummond. So now you're getting a wide receiver 3 who I think Dontario Drummond's a little bit raw. Doesn't separate as much as you like, but I think he's going to run really well. He's big. Big time Deebo Samuel vibes from Dontario Drummond. That Ole Miss was kind of trying to do that a little bit. And I think it was after they saw what Deebo was doing, like in that bowl game, getting him ends around, putting him in the backfield, figuring out ways you can get this guy the ball in his hands in space. Hard to tackle. He's big lower half. Yeah, we're going to go Dontario Drummond. So we're kind of now starting to address both sides of the ball. I mean, I didn't mean to go such a heavy defense first. That being said, that's just kind of how the draft worked out. I mean, Derek Stingley falls, then Trent McDuffie falls, then Brian Asamoah falls. And now we're going to go back and get Josh Pasco, who I think can be one of the more versatile. There's a difference between like a tweener who you don't know where he's going to fit in, a guy like DeMarvin Leal, or Josh Pasco, who I think is going to be a very good 3 tech, but I think he can also play edge. I mean, he has extremely heavy hands and is just a wrecking ball out of his stance. I mean, he's very fast out of his stance for a 280-pound guy. And then off the field, he's just a leader. A fifth-year guy, Kentucky, two-time captain. I mean, if you guys are a fan of the show and have watched this show, you know I like this guy a lot. A really, really special dude. One of my favorite late round picks in the draft. And he's falling because like the ceiling might not be that high. But you're getting a darn good football player. That's what it's about in this late round. Like, who are guys that are going to make your 53-man roster and be productive for you? That's Josh Pascal. It ain't close. Go back to the big board here. Alice Brooks, I like. Bubba Bolden, man, he had just an absolutely abysmal year this year. Got hurt a little bit. Any interesting running backs lately right now? Yeah, the Pierre Strong, I like his game. I know who we're gonna go get though. A guy that just people are sleeping on for some reason. Zamir White from Georgia. I mean, Zamir White, a former top 10 recruit out of high school. Does he have that ability to shake defenders at the next level? At the second level, you kind of saw that maybe lacking from Georgia. He's a guy that I'm not going to make you miss. I'm just going to run right through you. That being said, there's something to be said if he's got really good acceleration. Like he is fast in the open space. Like he's going to run a fast 40 and he's going to run right through you. And there's something to be said about that. Dalvin Cook's a little obviously like a much better prospect with how smooth he is, setting guys up, making people miss clean at the second level and making those big runs. Zamir White's more of a pound it down your throat back. And linebackers, safeties, they're not going to want to tackle this dude that many times. I think he has some potential to be really special in the NFL. Being behind some really good running backs at Georgia early on, and then splitting time with guys like James Cook, Kendall Milton, Mackenzie McIntosh late, or Kenny McIntosh late. He wasn't really able to like break out and show what he's about. 230. Where you go back to the big board, and again, you're just gonna try to find, and like what I was talking about with like Zamir White is like he's gonna bring you more than I mean Wayne Gallman is up on free agent, probably not gonna sign him back. I believe this kid's from Iowa State. He's a little bit smaller speedster, but like I think Zamir White's more of like an RB2 where Dalvin Cook needs a breather. You're gonna get a young running back with just a thick lower half and run right through you. He's going to be productive for you. And now you're trying to find one more guy who's going to be able to bring you some juice and make your 53-man and make an impact on this football team. Connor Hayward, I heard a lot of people are very high on him. If you want to run any fullback, like he's probably your guy. Kyle Hugheschick vibes, can catch the ball really well. And he's a former running back at Michigan State. He put on like 40 pounds and now he's kind of a bulldozer. Noah Ellis, I don't know too much about him, but one of my buddies is really high on him. I'm going to go Zach Tom here. Zach Tom, Wake Forest, another guy who's just a great locker room guy. I actually took classes with him at Wake Forest, and he is a genius, a very quiet kid. He'd sit in the class, they kind of have his head in his books, and then wouldn't talk. And then professor would ask the question that nobody knows, and then he'd call on Zach Tom. Zach knows the answer immediately. Dude is, I think he finished with like a 3.85 GPA, like very, very smart dude, high character guy. Again, a guy that you're going to take, put him in your program, or in your, not program, on your team, and he's going to develop to be a really good football player at the next level. All right, let's take a look at this overall haul here. Derek Stingley, steal. Trent McDuffie, steal. You get one of the best. I mean, I have a CB1, CB3 for me. I mean, that's crazy, getting those in the first two rounds. Brian Asamoah, a linebacker who is starting to really rise up boards. He's a guy that I don't know if he's going to be there at round 3. Greg Dulcich is a guy that is a matchup nightmare. Dontario Drummond, raw, but I mean, the size and speed is really enticing. Josh Pascal is a guy who's not the highest ceiling, but he's going to be a darn good football player for you. And then you round out with Zamir White, Zach Tom. This is a good draft. I'm very pleased with how this draft went. Let me know in the comments how you guys thought we did. Once again, appreciate you guys rocking with the Rock Boys, and we'll be back with more NFL draft content soon. Peace, y'all.